Let's make money. Happy Saturday, guys. I'm going to be taking you through a bunch of profitable plays, explaining the rationale behind all of my picks. So let's just kind of get into it. First play I'm on, late night NBA play, late night Saturday play, is Keegan Murray over 5 rebounds. So I found this play on the OddsJam screen. So the screen, it doesn't tell you which bet to place, but it just kind of displays, where all books are setting the line as well as the odds. So if you kind of scan through OddsJam and you check out, where all books have Keegan Murray's line, what you're going to notice is Prize Picks, a direct competitor to Underdog, has the line at 5.5, Underdog's at 5, right? All of the sports books have his line at 5.5 without much juice, right? There's not a ton of juice towards the under. Like you can see Resorts World right here, it's minus 110 on the over, minus 120 on the under 5.5. So Resorts World, in most other sports books, you can see Sports Illustrated is roughly the same. They have the under 5.5 favored, but only very slightly, minus 130-ish. So Prize Picks, Underdog's direct competitor at 5.5, Underdog at 5. Like typically when I'm scanning this screen, I'm looking for discrepancies between where Prize Picks has the line and Underdog. They're direct competitors. These platforms work in almost identical ways. So typically when their lines are off from one another, there's a profitable bet, right? So you can see right here, Harrison Barnes 5 versus 4.5. Seems like a little bit of value on Prize Picks taking the under. All books are at 4.5. Prize Picks is at 5, right? So as a sharp better, Prize Picks is the market and efficiency. All books, you have dozens of data points telling you the line should be at 4.5. Prize Picks is at 5. We want to take the under. So another way you can think about it is on Underdog Fantasy. I mean, I say this all the time, but it's really critical that you understand how this platform works, right? So you can see here, I'm always placing wins, losses. I mean, I ride with you guys through it all. I'm always placing, for the most part, 3-pick entries or 5-pick entries, but most commonly 3-pick entries. And the reason is 3-pick entries are mathematically optimal. So on Underdog Fantasy, for 3-pick entries, you're getting minus 122 implied odds, minus 122 odds, not minus 137. Minus 137, which you see right here, is for 2-pick entries. So you're getting 15 cents worse when you're placing 2-pick entries. You have to be going with 3-pick entries on Underdog. If you don't understand it, or the math behind this, I don't want to dwell on it, but I have some other videos about it. But what you can do is FanDuel is one of the only sports books that offers alternate rebound markets for players. So you can see here, we're betting over 5, right? We're taking Keegan Murray over 5. So FanDuel has the over 4.5 at minus 192. They have the over 5.5 at plus 100. Well, it just moved minus 198, minus 102. So you can take the midpoint and, it would be roughly minus 150. The only difference between 4.5 and 5.5 is if Keegan Murray has exactly 5 rebounds. That's the only difference in whether the bet will win or lose. So over 5, where 5 is pushing, you just take the midpoint, which would be roughly minus 150. So FanDuel is pricing Keegan Murray over 5 rebounds. You can approximate, you just take the midpoint between the 4.5 and 5.5 and minus 150. We're getting minus 122, right? We're getting minus 122 odds in an Underdog 3-pick. So this is the first play I locked in. Let's go back here. So you can see it all. Harden over, Sengun lower than 5 assists, Harden over 6 rebounds, Keegan Murray over 5 rebounds. So let's keep going through. So on Prize Picks, right, we know that we're getting in a 5 flex. We're getting minus 119 odds. So I gave out some plays earlier. Here you can see play number 1, 400 to win 4,000. So on Prize Picks, I'm basically always going with 5-pick flexes or 6-pick flexes. Those are mathematically optimal. And you can see I cashed. Yesterday was crazy. I either went 4 for 5 on a lot of them, which means you double your money. So here we went 4 for 5. Frickin' Mark Williams needed 3 more PRAs to get me the $4,000 payout. Of course, he couldn't do it. But regardless, you can see here we hit a 6-pick flex, turning 150 into 3750. And then we also hit this absolute bomb, turning 250 into 2.5K. But on Prize Picks, long story short, unlike Underdog, you don't want to be placing 3 picks. No 3 picks. 3 picks are an Underdog thing, not a Prize Picks thing. On Prize Picks, we're going with 5 flex. And I was able to find a bunch of plays. I mean, you can see one of them. So this is the one I just locked in. None of these games have started yet. So I ended up taking Braden Shen over 0.5 point. So I found this play on the OddsJam positive EV tool, right? So I say this all the time, but you want more sports books. There's 178 sports books, something like that on OddsJam. Like literally, there's tons. All of these books set lines independently. As we just saw looking at the screen, right, there were some inefficiencies on Prize Picks. Prize Picks has Harrison Barnes line at 5. All the books are at 4.5. Big line discrepancy, so there's value on the under on Prize Picks. Prize Picks has a line at 5, dozens of data points at 4.5. We want to take the under on Prize Picks. Value on Keegan Murray's on the over. Underdog at 5, all books at 5.5. We want to take the over. Right? So there can be value on different books. These books, they all want to be unique. They set lines independently. So you can see there's 2 really profitable plays on Bovada, which we'll go through here in a second. But there's also value on Prize Picks. This play isn't on Bovada. Well, it is on Bovada, but at 21 cents worse odds, at a lot worse odds. Right? The odds you're getting is really important. The value, right, you're getting is really important. Like I talk about this a lot, but like if we go here, in 2022, made over $200,000 betting on sports. The ROI was 4%. And again, I don't say this to be arrogant, but the point is there's going to be winning streaks and losing streaks. No sports bettor wins every single bet. Anyone who claims to is full of BS. And really what turns you from being a losing bettor, right, to a winning bettor over the course of the long run, and you're watching this video, so I assume you want to get more serious about your sports betting and you're not that guy just betting $5 every other week. Right? If you're betting $5 every other week, who cares how you bet on sports? You're not going to make money. You're not going to lose much money. You're betting $5 every other week. For the people who are looking to get serious, it's all about value, right? It's all about finding an edge. You're going to have bad beats. You're going to have lucky wins. It really all boils down to, are you finding value in the market, value in the odds, right? So here we're getting Shen to record a point. We've gone through the math of Prize Picks. We know 5 flex plays mean minus 119 odds. And you can see all of the sports books, Bet Online, a really sharp sports book, Pinnacle, an offshore sports book known to be the sharpest bookmaker in the world. All these sports books are pricing Shen to record a point at roughly minus 140, right? And on Prize Picks, we're getting minus 119 in a flex. So here are 5 plays I went with, right? A lot of these just from the EV tool. So then I took Andreas under 2.5 shots on goal. Why? Do I care about this guy? Do I know anything about this guy? No. It's all priced into the market. It's all baked into the market. I have dozens of sports books telling me this line should be priced around minus 140. I'm getting it minus 119. Clear value, clear edge, enough to beat the VIG and give me a long-term positive profit margin. So next we can go to Bovada. So I took Tobias Harris over 4.5 rebounds again. This play, it's not on Prize Picks at minus 119. You can't get it currently on any other sportsbook at this good of a price, minus 125. Although Bodog is the Canadian replica of Bovada. But regardless, you can see I locked it in for 390.62. And a lot of people may say, you're crazy. Why did you bet that for 390.62? Do you know anything about bankroll management? Why are you betting such a random number? Well, I've made a lot of money off Bovada, and you can see here, they kind of give me random betting limits. When I hit this bet max, right? Like if I go here, right, and I go to bet max, you'll notice that's just how much they give me on some of these random player props. So you can make money sports betting, but this is why sports betting, it's really hard to scale up and make more money over time, is these books ultimately can just cut your bet size, right? Especially if they realize you're a sharp, profitable bettor like Bovada has to me. They don't let me bet whatever I want on any player prop I want, right? They tell me how much I can bet, which in this case is just going to be 390.62 on the under for Maxi. But I don't want to bet that. The point was to explain, why did you bet 390.62 on Tobias Harris over 4.5 rebounds at minus 125 odds? Frickin' minus 168 on FanDuel, minus 142 on Caesars. Bet Online has this minus 156. Pinnacle minus 158. So, right, you're never going to get a perfect answer as to what are the actual odds for this bet. But you have dozens of data points, dozens of books kind of all pricing this line independently. So you can kind of, certain books like Bet Online and Pinnacle are much sharper, than books like Ballybet, right? So we want to put more weight into their odds. So long story short, it's pretty clear that, when you're getting 33 cents of improvement from the sharpest sports book out there, 31 cents of improvement from Bet Online, another really sharp sports book, it's pretty clear that there's probably some value on Bovada, right? Enough to beat the VIG, beat the juice, and have an actual positive profit margin. So, positive EV betting, it's not like most plays on Bovada are profitable. I mean, look at the 76ers game. This is literally just the 76ers game. They're probably offering God knows how many. I mean, just look at this, right? They're offering thousands of different things you can bet on just for the 76ers game. Is all these sportsbooks want to be unique, but they're not perfect, right? They screw up. They can't keep everything in check. Bovada doesn't have 1 million employees. It's not that big of a company. They screw up occasionally. Here they're screwing up and giving us, sharp bettors, way too much value on Harris over 4.5 rebounds, so we want to rip it, right? We want to hit that. So the final play I'm on, which is pretty interesting, is under 6.5 goals in Penguins Panthers, 2.11% profit margin. So I hit that for $1,000, as you can see right here. $1,000 under 6.5, Penguins Panthers. So this is how you kind of think about, profit margin, is we're earning a 2% profit margin. So I can actually just change this to a percent. So if I go here, right? So this is literally the math behind sports betting. We're earning a 2.11% profit margin on this play. We're staking $1,000, right? That's my stake on Bovada. So this, under the percent column, right, this is known as your edge or your profit margin. So it's 2.11%, right? On, under 6.5 goals at plus 135 odds. The fair odds is 130.15. So you'll notice you're always getting value. You're always getting better odds than the fair odds. So here, Harris over 4.5 with the VIG removed, with the spread removed, right? The true line is minus 128.24. You're getting better odds, minus 125, right? So it's kind of like if across the stock market, I guess kind of a good analogy is if we just look up the price of Bitcoin. I mean, it can seem random, but let's just go to Google, right? If we look up the price of Bitcoin, you can see it's $22,310. So the whole point of positive EV betting is you have dozens of books telling you where the line should be set. So it's kind of like if I told you, hey, you want to buy Bitcoin at $17,000. You don't have to know anything about Bitcoin, right? What you know is there's a ton of hedge funds, a ton of smart people, right? The entire market, the equilibrium price, the fair price where it's trading in the market, where supply and demand are equal, is 22.3K. So if you can buy it at 17K and you say, no, I'm not buying Bitcoin, I'm not trusting crypto, no offense, you shouldn't bet on sports. You don't understand anything about gambling, having an edge, markets, anything like that, right? There are millions of people, right? Very smart people, hedge funds, all looking at the price of Bitcoin, trying to determine if there's an edge in buying and selling it. If you won't buy it for $5,000 cheaper, you shouldn't gamble. You're a horrible gambler, right? It's not about if you believe in Bitcoin. It's just about markets, data, understanding market efficiency. On the other hand, if you told me, yo, you can sell all your Bitcoin for $27,000, you would be ridiculously foolish not to sell your Bitcoin for $27,000, given where it's trading in the market. Markets are fair, right? So let's go back here. And so this play is pretty interesting too, just from a value or a math perspective. So we can take Pinnacle's market, right? They're pricing this plus 120, minus 138. So if you take their market, right, they have 18-cent spread here. So, this spread is just kind of like a stockbroker. Hey, you can buy a stock, for 120, or I'll buy this stock for $120. I'll sell it to you for 138. That's how stockbrokers make money, right? They buy things for $120, they sell it for $138, they make an $18 spread. It's no different on sportsbooks. Pinnacle saying, hey, you can buy the over for $138, or you can sell the over, in other words, bet the under, the opposite side, for $120. But what you're going to notice here that's pretty interesting too. So we have a 2.11% edge, $1,000 stake, so 21.10 in profit margin. So what this means is this is, kind of my long-term ROI, right? You just take your edge and you multiply it by your stake. But long story short, what this means is, right, ROI times my total stake equals my profit margin. So I know if I'm earning a 4% ROI on average, right, for every $1,000 bet, I'm earning $40. So long story short, if you told me, hey, Alex, I'm going to make you bet, $1,000 less every day, but I'll give you a $10 bill, I'm going to tell you no way, because I know my average edge is worth over 1%. So I don't want to bet $1,000 less. If I'm earning 4% edge on average and I'm betting $1,000, that's $40 an edge, right? Per $1,000 bet. So if you told me, hey, bet $1,000 less and I'll give you $10 for free, I'm going to tell you no. It's kind of the same concept here, right? If you told me I'll give you a $10 bill for your wager of $1,000 on Bovada on the under 6.5 total goals, I'm going to tell you no, because my bet is worth $21.10. 2.11% edge, $1,000 stake, $21.10. And I would have bet more on it, but Bovada limited me. Now, another reason that you know this play is profitable, right, or you should have really high confidence in betting it, is it's an arbitrage opportunity with Ballybet, right? So usually the sportsbook has the spread, right? The minus number is bigger than the plus number. But sometimes when these sportsbooks get so out of sync with one another, right, between two sportsbooks, this is only possible because all books try to set lines independently, and they don't care about where other books are pricing things. How crazy are they? Is you can bet on equal and opposite outcomes and make a risk-free profit if the plus number is bigger than the minus number for equal and opposite outcomes. It needs to be equal and opposite outcomes. So over 6.5, under 6.5 are equal and opposite outcomes. So OddsJam has an arbitrage calculator. It's just under the calculator section of the website. So what we can say is, okay, if we wanted to, so I didn't actually arbitrage bet this, but it's an interesting topic. So if I wanted to, I could go over to Ballybet, which is a sportsbook in New York. And so I bet $1,000 at plus 135 on the under, and I can put in the odds for the over minus 130. And what this calculator tells me is, hey, bet 1328.26 on Ballybet, and you're going to make a risk-free profit of roughly 1%, which is $21.74. So I could turn my bet, if I wanted to, into a risk-free $21.74, right? And if you're curious, if you're like, no way, let's go through the math of how arbitrage works, right? And it's only possible because books set lines independently. And out of the millions of odds across sports books, sometimes these books screw up. They're not perfect. There are market inefficiencies. So the under was plus 135 odds. We bet 1,000. Let's say on the over, again, it's minus 130 odds. Let's say we just round a bit. 1328.26 is weird, so let's just say we bet 1330 on Bally's. And all that's going to do is what this calculator tells you is if you want to keep your profit constant, right, your risk-free profit constant, so regardless of if there's 0, 1, 2, 10, 15, 7 goals in the game, you're always going to make 21.74. That's what the calculator tells you. If you round, it just changes it up a bit. So arbitrage betting, risk-free money sports betting. It's literally risk-free money sports betting. This is how I started out, actually, sports betting. I just realized it was a lot less profitable than EV betting, but you're literally just capitalizing on inefficiencies in sportsbook odds. Here we can see a big arbitrage bet between PointsBet and Bovada, 2.96% return. So as an arbitrage bettor, you got to be fast. You're rushing to the sportsbooks, place your bet on the over, place your bet on the under, lock in a risk-free profit. What you need to remember, though, is you got to move fast, first of all. And second of all, some people will be like, 3%? Who cares, dude? 3%? You have to remember, this game is today. 3% ROI a day means 90% a month. Means if you're arbitrage betting just even $1,000 a day, right, on 3% arbitrage bets, so, the math isn't complicated. This is just math, right? So if your ROI, let's say on arbitrage bets is 3%, let's just say 3%, you're betting $1,000 a day, you're earning $30 per day, which means your monthly ROI is going to be 90%, assuming there's 30 days in a month, 30 times 3, 90%, which means you're earning $900 in risk-free profit. It's so easy, right? Like arbitrage betting, literally without much money out of college, I was able to make a lot of money arbitrage betting. So I went through the slip on Prize Picks. You can take a screenshot if you want to tail it. None of these games have started yet, but we have this. Oh, let's go through the math. Let's finish up going through the math. Okay. So long story short, if the game goes under, these are equal and opposite outcomes. If the game goes under, I'm down 1330 on Bally's. That was my stake at minus 130 on the over. I just won $1,000 placed at plus 135 odds, 1350 on Bovada. So my net profit is $20. I'm in the green, right? I made money. If the game goes over, surely I have to lose money now, right? Equal and opposite outcomes. One of these two things has to happen. Well, now I'm down $1,000 on Bovada. On Bally's, I bet 1,000, 330 bucks at minus 130 odds. So I'm up $1,023.08. So I made roughly $20 in both cases. That's arbitrage betting. You got to wrap your head around it. We have a bunch of tutorials, but really easy way to make a lot of money. And arbitrage also signifies a market inefficiency. So like whenever arbitrage exists, one play has to be profitable. You can't have risk-free money exist in financial markets. So one bet has to be profitable. You just have to figure out which play is good. Like here, you can see massive line discrepancy for Sengun in terms of his rebounds plus assists. So this is good, this plus 130 or the minus 119 on Prize Picks and a 5 flex. One of these plays has to be profitable. Anyways, hopefully this was helpful. Let's make some money, guys.